Every so often, Critical Strike updates, and every single time someone is upset about something. Of course, this is the very nature of games updating. People get used to things, people get tired of things, people want new things, and each update brings something new. Critical Strike's latest update, version 5.9.9, brings a surprising amount for an update so close to the full 6.0 release. Big changes include a boosted player count from 10 to 12, several class updates and reworks, new maps, and an adjustment to the game mode order that makes elimination way more common. Overall, this is actually one of my favorite updates in a long time, and that's totally not because Rocketeer finally got a buff after over 19 nerfs. In this video, we're going to talk in depth about some of these updates, as well as what I expect to see changed in the next couple of weeks as things get balanced and feedback rolls in. To start this video off, I obviously have to talk about the Rocketeer buffs, and they aren't just the ones listed in the update page. The official changes are a 3-stack burn from Oiled instead of 1 stack, Oil itself gives 2 instead of 1 burn, and Blast Off applies 3 stacks of burn instead of 1, as in each rocket from Blast Off applies 3 stacks instead of 1, so if all 8 rockets hit, that'd be 3 times 8 stacks of burn. This now means that Rocketeer does a noticeable amount of damage from burn, as opposed to it being not much more than a paper cut. Also, Oil itself can be ignited by a burning player walking over it. Additionally, the Oil status effect has returned, which makes combat against stealth players much easier. Anyways, let's move on from Rocketeer meat riding and go more in depth on some of the other changes in this update. A barely noticed but much appreciated change to the game is the addition of a few new maps. These are Brass Coliseum, Technobrain, and Sandy Bazaar. In addition, Critical Stadium gets an update. From my testing, Sandy Bazaar appears to be a non-elimination map only. This wasn't mentioned in the document, but is worth noting. Also, on the subject of maps, Critical Highways was replaced with Critical Stadium, and that Sandy Bazaar map is the replacement for Ghastly Library. One more thing. 2 maps were removed, Radiant Battlefield and Hachiman Jinja. Okay, so we're halfway through this video, and in real life, I got to this point in the script and cleaned my house for a few hours. When I got back, I hopped into the game to get more inspiration for the video, and about 1 minute after joining a random game server, I got this message on my screen. So yeah, some of the footage in this video might be from an odd account name, or 2, that's just a heads up. Now let's get back to the update. With that quick interruption out of the way, I'm going to let the new maps introduce themselves. Now, let's talk about the changes to classes. This is probably the most important part of the video for most of you. As per usual with these update overviews, I won't be going into extreme detail with every single class except Rocketeer, which we already discussed. If you guys are interested, I'll link the document down below and I'll make a separate video about all of the class changes. For now, here are the highlights. Warrior, Hunter, Trickster, Rocketeer, and Reaper all see minute balance changes. Spearman, Scout, Gladiator, and Infernus all see big changes and partial makeovers. Meanwhile, Turkey and Firecracker have both been fully and completely redesigned. I haven't messed around with the Firecracker redesign just yet, but it looks to be insanely powerful with an excellent LMB and HP melting damage output. On the other hand, I have messed around with the new Turkey. It's definitely a lot better and more natural feeling than the previous rework, but it still has some strong combo abilities and not only burns itself, but any unlucky opponents. Now, let's talk about all of the notable changes made to the game with the 5.9.9 update. As I mentioned in the beginning, 12 players versus 10 and elimination is way more common. What I didn't mention is actually a surprising amount. For starters, Team Deathmatch is a little more complex and a whole lot better. Instead of a 2-minute timer and the team with the most kills wins, it's now a 2-minute timer and which team has the best kill ratio. This kill ratio is basically however many people are on the team times 2. So if there's 6 players on one team, then that team has to get 12 kills to win the game. If the other team has 5 players and gets 10 kills, they win. Even if the 6-player team has 11 out of 12 kills, the team that fulfills the ratio first will win. Of course, if neither team does so successfully, then something else happens that you wouldn't expect. Instead of the highest kill team winning, it's about the ratio of kills to players within that 2-minute period. So if our earlier recalled teams come back, let's say that Blue has 6 players and 10 out of 12 kills. That's 83%. Let's say Team Red with 5 players has 9 out of 10 kills. That's 90%. When the timer ends, the team with the best ratio or percentage wins the game. So despite having fewer kills, Red Team would still win. I actually love this revision to TDM. I think it really emphasizes the skill aspect of Deathmatch, and this is a good way to do things when teams are unbalanced. One last item to note, a sudden death is possible via one of the 2 following conditions being met. Both teams share an equal kill percentage that is not 0% by timeout, or both teams are 1 off from a victory. So if Blue Team has 6 out of 7 kills and Red Team has 8 out of 9 kills, they're both 1 off, it's sudden death. If each team has a calculated percentage of 90% and the timer goes off, it's sudden death. Anyways, I played the new update for several hours and this never happened, so a TDM sudden death probably isn't gonna be a common occurrence. Now, let's get back to the other changes. One huge change that I bet is really gonna be well received is that if 2 players are left in a standard elimination match free-for-all, Final Strike will begin instantly with a 10-second warning as opposed to having to wait for the timer to run out. This is so awesome because nothing sucks more than someone hiding in a tree for the last 30 seconds of the game before Final Strike starts. Now earlier I talked about elimination being way more common. Well, as things turns out, it's a 4-to-1 ratio. Lots of ratioing happening in this update. Anyways, instead of 2 elims per special mode, it's now 4 elims per special mode. Also, Deathmatch, Team Elimination, and Juggernaut have been removed. Sadly, One For All is still in rotation. I wonder if we're finally going to get a return of Capture the Flag. For my final thoughts and farewell, I really am surprised that such a decent update was pushed out ahead of Critical Strike 6.0. I've heard some scary rumors about 6.0, and I'm simply going to try ignoring that bleak future and enjoy what we've got here today. And what we have today is a comprehensive update to the class roster, some exciting new maps, more elimination and rotation, and some quality of life updates that really help the game out. I do think that some changes are going to be modified. Turkey will probably have a little bit of a buff, Firecracker will probably receive a slight nerf, likely to its LMB, and I wouldn't be surprised if Rocketeer gets nerfed once again. One change that I'm hoping to see is an increase in match time, or at least an increase in final strike time to accommodate that bump in player count. On that note, I think it is now time to end. If you guys liked this video and want to see more Critical Strike content, leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe. I'll see you all soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.